realistic. It's just not natural, man.
The national bot of Scotland.
Yeah.
I.
Can he be that good?
That's not how you do
I'm
AI.
missing something. I'm missing something.
AI, laddie. It's just.
Anyway,
from my side, I appreciate you want to keep this short. I wanted to clear with you a couple of design concepts I had for the isolates and how to deliver some of the features you mentioned previously, like how to list the isolates, how to access the code that the isolates are running, how to run a drone from a command, so one bot calling another bot, and how to do function calls that return immediately and then go off and do some stuff and come back. So I want to check those off with you.
That is my holy, well, it's not Trinity. What's five? It's Synergy.
The Holy Pentagram. I think that's a different spirit you're talking about there. And then if there's time, I would like to demonstrate to you the real-time API that we have access to now and talk you through my opinions on how that integrates with our 3-box UI and what the implications of that, which are reasonably heavy, I think. But that's a bonus thing. What's needed from your side?
From my side, I'm kind of stopped in untested code, which I think should work.
You're stopped in untested code.
Yeah, because what I need is the previous test file runner on routertest.md doesn't do that weirdness where, it was taking, it will get into the infinite loop and eventually came back with something and it's like...
So what's the problem?
The one I was talking about last night.
Yeah.
So what I wanted was that as a baseline.
You wanted the infinite loop as a baseline?
No. I wanted the test file runner because yesterday we were running the test file runner on the router and it was coming back happy.
Yep.
That was great.
Yep.
I didn't commit anything. I don't think you changed anything. And then I ran it after I got the new test format.
Yep.
And I went, I was like, oh, it's not working.
Okay, so you want to roll back to that?
Well, I don't need to roll back because you'll see in the commit, I've just put Scott underscore in all the files that are ready to go in. But that original test of test file runner against routertest.md needs to not take 45 minutes. And then, well, basically I give up.
Okay, all right. So have you tried, in the meantime, while I try to fix that bug, have you tried doing just one of the tests at a time? Just do a single test, for example.
Yes, I've tried. I also tried it on the single test on Hammer. Same thing. It was like it's just taking way too long. It seemed to be doing it. I actually got ticks. But it's like, nah, this is way too long because last time it was doing it in a few minutes, and then weirdness happening, and then you were saying that there's an infinite loop.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck on that at the moment because I can't test what I've written
because of the infinite loop.
Yeah, because I can't trust the results if previously nothing having changed. Our previous test, which was the simple router test.md, is like, what are you doing? Like,
what you
doing? Come back to me. Please come back to me. You were working. It wasn't me. Big boy did it and ran away.
That's the lay of the land then, huh?
Yeah, that's my biggest one. And then, so if we can do that, and then we can go through your pentagram, and then I can tell you where I'm at with the new test format, which I think is pretty cool, but is untested, so I don't know if it'll work or not.
Okay, so you said if we can do that first, so you want to do something or show me something?
No, what I want to know is what's going on with why is it taking so long to do the router test.md when previously it was just working? Is it something
Um,
I'm doing, or is it something that's happened Deno's
there was
doing?
a
Or
there was a change to the test format, and but also I changed I added in that before's function. But what I don't get is that it did actually work. Uh, it did actually work perfectly fine.
it did, didn't it? And then it didn't for some reason.
It did, and then it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
I don't think either has changed anything, which is like, what do we do next? Because at the moment, it's I can't test this stuff I've written. So the stuff I've written, I've gone through. So I went through manually, wrote it, got my head round what I wanted to do, and then went through 3 or 4 cycles on the platform on O1, and it tightened up, picked up all my spelling mistakes. You'd be glad to hear. But also
I'm
the
glad to hear. I'm very
yeah,
glad to hear about
and
that.
then picked up some inconsistencies in terminology and some ambiguities, and ultimately spat out something that was self-coherent. Maybe not well, maybe not complete, but coherent. And I've got a very simple test case, which, if I can get it to run, then I've got coherence, completeness, and correctness. And then I can expand the test cases because of the stuff I did while it was waiting for 45 minutes to do not that much. I ran the test format through O1 and got that ERD that I sent over, which I think is pretty ballsy actually, and I'd like your opinion on that. But that's less important to the need to be able to test this thing. So yeah.
Okay, it is pretty ballsy. Um,
Well, I did a few other things afterwards in terms of it got pretty close to throwing out properly formed tests just with the ERD. Saying you should be able to do this, and here's some synthetic data to test it,
right.
which is kind of cool. In fact, yeah, I was really impressed, but I need to add in a few more things about it. Um, like what the format of the TPS report is, because I realized just round about midnight, it's like, I've not told you what a TPS report is, and I'm saying testing is a TPS report. That's a bit unfair.
Man, it's just ERDs all the way down almost.
ERDs seem to be a thing that bots just kind of get because I know it's all natural language, but the ERDs is well structured natural language. It's like talking to someone with perfect elocution and grammar and spelling and a very clear clarity of
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah. It's more powerful than natural language because it's got a very tight structure with a huge body of knowledge that will be part of the bot's training set.
Yeah, but it's also understandable to humans as well because you see that diagram, and I looked at the diagram in one go and went, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. And that was a
Mm.
zero shot. I didn't mess around with it. I just said, here's all the stuff. Also pulled in the isolates, cut and pasted from Artifact, and then at each point saying, has this format asked for a command you don't know about? Give me a list. I go, okay, give you that list. Got smaller, 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 and then it goes, yep, I know everything. It's like, create me an ERD, and it created that, which was quite cool. It was an end of day kind of jolly kind of thing to do. There wasn't any particular reason, but the result was more than I was expecting.
Okay. Well, that's bloody great.
So yeah,
Um,
anyway, we start with what the hell is happening with test file runner on our basic tests?
well, the sad fact is I don't actually know yet, and I'm still working on it. Uh, I could roll back the system to
Is it the
previous.
system? Is there any indication that it's not something that we've done? It's something Deno's done, or even
It,
OpenAI?
I don't believe it's anything that Deno's done because Deno either works or it doesn't. It doesn't cause different execution paths to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But
I've
we
made
might
some
have hit the
changes.
limits, though. That's what you were saying last night, wasn't it? Potentially because of
Yeah,
a
I
zip
just
loop. We could hit.
I cannot currently recreate the bug in a way that I can see what the data is doing. So I need more time to pick apart the problem.
Okay.
That's as good as I got right now. Sorry.
All right. Okay. No worries.
So that's blocking you,
Uh,
right? So I'll make sure that
yeah.
I get that sorted one way or another tonight. It may be rolling back the platform to previous versions where it did work if I can't trace the problem out.
Yeah. There's let's say as far as I can see, there's not that been that many changes that would do that, other than
No.
the before thing. But I
Yeah.
can't see how the before,
I don't know. I'm sure I'll get to the bottom of it, but I just need to spend some
unless
time
there's
on it.
nested befores, maybe. Right. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. That's your partnership. So
Okay.
yeah.
What else you got?
Well, that's it. So
That's it.
do you
Okay.
want to go through your stuff, and then I'll
Sure.
go through my stuff?
What? Oh, okay. Um, this is a concept for a bot.
Mm.
And the key thing is I'm just trying to nut out how to. I wrote this because I wanted it, but just sort of popped into my head, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." But it really is what I need to do to help figure out what this function should be.
Mm.
Um, so the idea is that there's a 4.0 mini that is fast, quick, can summarize, write to files, and all that. But it's
Yeah.
meant to, and it's got basically every useful command that we have in the isolates.
Yeah.
But it can also call either O1 mini or O1 preview when it needs to think.
Um. Okay. Some of them wouldn't ever need O1 preview. For example, list files. That's not anything O1 should bother itself with, because
No,
if
so once again, so what this is about is you're chatting to 4.0 mini, but when 4.0 mini runs around and does the task that you ask, but when it realizes that it needs to think or it needs to be smart, it calls O1 to do the thinking.
I see. So it just calls its boss saying, "I can't do this."
Well, it's like it calls its guru, like its advisor,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's McKinsey, and it goes off, does a bunch of thinking, charges a bunch more money, comes back, sometimes with something smarter than the bot would have figured out itself, and then it can use that injection of knowledge to carry on with writing, reading, and whatever.
That's kind of cool. I like that. How does 4.0 Mini know that it's being incompetent with one of these commands then?
I don't know that actually. That's I wanted to illustrate the concept and then pass it off to you and be like,
Uh-huh.
I, have a guess. I think that O1 Mini knows when it knows when it has enough information to make a well-formed question. Um, and the idea was that Mini would sort of pick up when it was the idea that I was really shooting for was and going to ask you to make was like, well, everyone loved HAL 2. If you could
Yeah.
make HAL 2 that could also call O1, that might be quite good because HAL 2 would make
Yeah.
sure that your questions were well formed and it would be very quick and responsive and it's got all these tools. And then when it's finally got your question into this like perfectly formed bombshell, then it calls O1.
You mean how 3 or how 2? How 2
HAL
was
2.
the how to's the one that people liked. How three
Yes.
was the one that you got annoyed at because it was effectively doing O1 before
Yeah,
O1 came
I know.
along, but it
Yeah.
was doing it in your face.
Yeah, yeah. So really, I guess what I'm suggesting is that here's an opportunity to make a general purpose bot that's like How To. It's super helpful. It really tries to help you make the questions into something smart, and then it will call its Big Daddy.
Okay, let's think about this one. So, say if at the moment we've got files list,
Yep,
list of files and agents, for
yep,
example. Right.
yep.
Um, at the moment, on this prompt, that's going to go to for mini, and it's going to run the files agent, which is dead simple,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get a list of files.
Mm-hmm.
So, happy days. Similar for read, remove. All these are unitary, well understood things that it's not going to hallucinate on
That's right.
because the isolates are well written.
That's right.
Now, which of these are the sort of thing where you need to hone your question?
None of them.
But there's a possibility that we could have a command that is like.
No, like the point of this is that you go into this bot and you're like, hey, read me the test file runner.md file. And then you
Yeah.
go, now tell me what the hell is wrong with it. And that's the point where I would expect this bot to be like, ooh, and it would ask you a couple of clarifying questions if it thought it needed to. It's like, what exactly went wrong? What do you think about this thing? Blah, blah, blah. And then once it's packaged that up, then it goes O1 mini, O1 preview, you're up. And then because O1 preview now has access to the contents of the file that got read in, O1 preview can opine upon the contents of the test file runner bot, spit something back, and then 4.0 mini picks it up and goes, oh yeah, okay, I can interpret that, I can summarize that, or when you're ready, I can write that out to the file to replace it.
Okay, so one simple way of doing that would be uh, for mini does whatever it is you've told it to do, and quite often I find myself saying no. Usually when it makes mermaid charts, the syntax is always slightly wrong for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. So that is a
So
job for preview.
yeah, so you say no, think again, or even if it's a more complex thing, quite often it's like I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to get you to read it. So it's like, all right, thanks for that. Consider carefully and check for your own errors and redo it without me even reading the first one. A bit lazy, but I'm a human. And then it comes up with a second one, and the second one is almost always better than the first.
Right. So it's like
So
that, but it's
it's
using O1, which has a level of intelligence far beyond what 4.0 can comprehend.
right. So there are now at the moment you've specified here use for mini for all those commands and itself. Yep. So if I was to what file are we in here? This is
The reason proxy,
reason proxy,
you can
which
rename it at
your
whim.
powerful assistant that sits much between a much wiser depreciation. That includes blah blah blah. It looks a lot like the files agent, except with you got a YouTube fetch in there. You got time, which is an isolate.
Oh, sorry.
Fetch,
You were reading. Sorry.
fetch post. What's fetch post do?
Oh, that's an interesting one. That allows you to do an HTTP post with any parameters.
Ah.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh-wee.
check you out. Okay, that opens up the world.
Yeah, and so I'll also make like a fetch get, and then basically it would give us a way that O1 Preview could say what the parameters needed to be for a particular thing, and then Mini can run around and do all the work.
Right, because fetch post could be post to anything, but the actually what you're posting to needs to know about the format of the post that you're doing. Fetching the weather, for example.
Yeah, you've got to be able to call that API with like the right URL, the right parameters, all that kind of stuff, right?
So that's not going to work with O1 at the moment because it doesn't yet have access to beyond its training data.
What? That would absolutely work with O1. I feel like we've got a fundamental gap in what we perceive O1 as doing here.
Well, I don't know. I think we've got a fundamental different different release because O1 Preview for me cannot fetch anything.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the whole point of this bot. Because O1 Preview can definitely, given if you gave it like the weather API docs, which you would have got O1 Mini to fetch for you, you can make a call to O1 Preview and get back the text that describes what the format of the post should be, right?
Right, so it's not a unitary thing. It doesn't know what the weather is. However, for Mini knows it doesn't know what the weather is. It goes to O1 Preview and say, here's the API.
Yep.
Because it's fetched the API.
Yep.
And here's what we're trying to do. Give me back the post command.
Correct.
And then 4.0 goes.
4.0 will then call the isolate using the format and the information that O1 gave it. Like,
that's pretty good. So, regardless, so long as we got one bot that can just fetch dumb data about an API, then we get O1 to well form that based on the intent of what you're asking that API to do.
Yeah.
Then pass that back, and then 4.0 or 4 Mini just goes, yeah, okay, I'm just going to run it.
That's right.
That is pretty damn ballsy, man.
Thank you. There's better stuff that comes too. Now, because, I mean, soon O1 will have tools directly, whoop-de-doo. Yeah. But I still think this is a good model because you want this fast, not too smart, does what it's told thing running around doing all this stuff. And then you want the big daddy to be thinking deeply. And now where the critical design feature comes from, so instead of trying to design as a patch or a workaround, the design of this model that makes it better, in my opinion, is that I think I can make this drone command call multiple versions of the preview model in succession, because the plan I've got is I did some very quick tests on it today to verify that it will work. The plan is when 4.0 Mini calls this drone function, the drone function will immediately return and say, it'll immediately return with a status ID. Now, anytime from that point on that you talk to 4.0 Mini and say, hey, where are we at with that weather report? It will know from its context that it's got the status ID, and it can run another function that I forgot to mention here that would be like status, where it would give the drone call that it made and the status ID, and it would look up how it's going, like how many tokens did it burn, that sort of thing, right? But if you don't...
Errors for some reason. The website might be down.
No, not that. No. Because what will happen is when the call succeeds or fails, it will come back and inject itself to replace the original tool call that went away and came back with results. It will replace that tool call with the full-blown tool result. So what it means is that O1 Mini can make the reasoning call out to O1 Preview and then come back to you and be like, hey, I've started that job for you. Is there anything else you'd like to do in the meantime? And you're like, yeah, actually, I want to know what animal species are in hot dogs. And then you start another batch of questioning to and fro and whatever, and then you make another drone call, right? And so now you got two deep reasoning calls going on that'll come back, and then you can have multiple plates spinning.
Right. So if I've got this right, for example, you could say something like, give me a list of all companies beginning in ANDR in the US. Now, you could that's a Google call, right? Or the DuckDuckGo call, or insert any search engine you want call.
It's an external call, yeah.
Yeah. So O1 Preview could be running those in parallel.
No, O1 Preview can't make those calls, but O1 Preview can figure out what you should make, what the call should be.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. For many would be able to say, right, here's a list of search engines that could give you the answer. And then kick it off to O1 Preview, give me the API call for each of those. That gets me my result.
Right, but even deeper than that, it could be like O1 Preview, make a plan of action for us. O1 Preview makes a plan. Mini then goes around, maybe part of the plan is search Google for API services that interface with the company. Mini goes off, does the work, comes back, sends it back to O1 Preview. Hey, this is what I found on Google. Preview says, okay, you need to get this companies register API. It looks like a good one. O1 Mini goes off, does the call, comes back. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is the company could change its API completely. And between calls, it could change the API, say, publish the new, but it would not affect this. Because 4.0 would look and just get the latest documentation for the API.
Yep.
Hand it off to O1 Preview, saying, yep, I want to find the weather for this.
Yep.
And O1 Preview doesn't have any preconceptions about what the previous API is. So
yeah,
if the company had changed the API, it's kind of...
Well, it's all fresh. It's all retrieved. It's not part of training data. It's all like fetched raw. So the architectural change I was also trying to slot in here is that, remember your idea of having HAL do 3 different calls in parallel with different temperature settings, and then it comes back and we assess which one is best, right?
Yeah.
But we could do that, the same thing, when you want to do some deep reasoning. We can do the same thing with O1 Preview. So we could fire off like 5 concurrent reasoning calls. Each of them could be prompted different by Mini or have different temperatures or whatever. And then they can all be running in parallel, come back, and then you can pick the model can choose the best result.
Which model? O1 Preview?
Well, you could make it O1 Mini, or you could fire it off for a second assessment by O1 Preview or O1 Mini if you wanted. It's kind of up to you at that point. So yeah, I'm just saying, I'm trying to say that this model seems to be the gateway to having that type of structure.
The pattern seems pretty robust, doesn't it? Because what we're saying is, previously we had, remember, judges, and then we had a court with some kind of judging, some kind of voting, logic.
Mm-hmm.
We could just pass all that over. So say if 4 Albany says, I need to know the headlines for today.
Mm-hmm.
And here are 4 websites that I know about, and here are the APIs, because it's got access. goes over to O1 Preview, and it would create the fetch get for each of those. Or actually, no, yeah, it would write the fetch get, pass it back to Mini. Mini could get the results, could put it back to O1 Preview as a judge and saying, let's mash these or select one to get a single result that goes back, which is really quite high fidelity, but also very robust. Because if any one of those decides to change what they do on the API side, it doesn't matter because we're 4.0 Mini is going out to the live web, looking for the API, getting the API, passing the API to O1 Preview. O1 Preview gets the specific fetch command, passes that back to 4.0, who's got access to the real world, can run all those, can then pass it back to O1 Preview and saying, I've now got 4 results. Can you give me a summary of all 4?
Right.
That's pretty powerful, man. There's a lot we could do with that.
Okay, so I'll make the thing, yeah? I'll make that drone call, because that'll give you several things that you were asking for. How to run a drone from an isolate command. It'll give you how to do a function, how to do an isolate command and then leave it so that it runs.
Here's a thought. Do we expose Dreamcatcher agents through an API through the same process?
You mean through this drone call?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was. I wanted to get to that in the real-time speech thing. So yes, the short answer is yes. The long answer is maybe. We should. I think that falls in the category of the real-time speech API.
Well, the long answer has only got 2 more characters, so it's not that longer. But yeah,
could make a big difference.
I like this design pattern.
Okay, cool. Because it's starting to feel like we actually do want a single bot that kind of more or less does everything, but it's just marshalling all the other bots for you. Switchboard, I think, was faulted because Switchboard wasn't trying to do the work. However, I think your mental model always was trying to have Switchboard do things, and maybe that's.
Yeah, did you see that video clip that I sent over with Scotty Star Trek?
I didn't watch it. I thought it was just a meme.
No, it's not a meme. It's just stick it on now. Well, I don't know. You can or can't. But
sure, I'll just expose my WhatsApp. No problem.
This is what I've got in mind. Well, this highlights what I'm after. And we seem to be getting closer every day.
It's coming, right?
There it is. It's an absolute classic, and it's probably short enough that we're not going to get banned in Belarus again.
You're joking. Professor could use your computer. Please.
Computer? Computer? Ah. Hello, computer.
Just use the keyboard.
Is this when he makes transparent aluminium?
Great.
It is. And then he hits keys at random with 2 fingers and on a very old Mac. Anyway, you get the idea. It's like conceptually, you want to be talking to one thing.
One thing, right? Computer.
Yeah.
Computer, however you say it.
Computer.
Yeah. Okay, and so I think that maybe that's what you wanted Switchboard to be, and
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
and for debug is very useful, or for writing is exceptionally useful to have stickiness, but for use, I don't
Yeah,
The
it's
stickiness.
the.
You just want it to happen.
I think the idea of switchability should be very controlled, whereas like the switching should be treated like the agent itself is the primary point of contact, and then the agents are just called behind drone calls that you don't interact with them is what
Right.
I think the model says.
Well, I'd add to that also that if something goes wrong, you ask computer, oh, why did that go wrong?
Yeah,
And it would do a trace and go, right, computer, explain why this agent did that.
yeah, and then that would
Oh, you
call
know,
on like the debug agent, or it would
yeah,
call on some other functions. It might make an O1 call. It might do like 15 O1 calls, each
yeah,
with a different reasoning task to break down. Like it could be arbitrarily deep.
yeah, exactly. And then you say, computer, can you? I see the problem now. Can you fix that bot to not do that again? Thank you very much, because that wasn't helpful. But you're never actually talking to other bots unless you're in build mode. When you're in
I
build
think that
mode,
might have been the mistake, eh? It's like trying to make it so that you switched and then talked to these bots, when in actual fact, you could talk if you wanted to, but that should be a deliberate, dedicated, kind of cumbersome, semi-cumbersome act, and
well,
primarily you're just talking to computer.
I'm using it all the time when I'm writing the bots. Effectively, I'm computer, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretending I've got this other persona trying to do something. It's like, okay, computer, write this file. It's like, okay, right, files, okay, right. Or even wider, computer, test this agent. It's like, okay, right, tell test files runner. Here's the test file, and so on. I'm the place of the computer at the kind of dev mode, but I think ultimately at the user mode, you don't need to do that unless something's gone badly wrong.
Badly wrong. Okay.
So anyway, that's my
Okay.
conceptual model I'm working towards.
All right. So I'll make that thing. I think that's actually a very quick thing to make.
That's cool. And then you can tell us about the what format it is, and then once you've got an idea of it, the again we're doing bit arse over tit. I'll then write the tests to what I think this should do, because we really should be starting with tests.
Yeah, we should be starting with tests. But
we're bootstrapping, so
oh god, we gotta
all
get.
the rules.
I know we gotta get out of that problem. But because the reason is that I was like calling files to pull in the test format, and then I was saying, oh, one, do blah 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 with that file. It would come back, and then it'd be like, files, write this thing out, and it was just getting, a bit painful. And sort of the architecture that I'm very fuzzily sort of seeing is that maybe files is actually an agent, and this whole agent, calls the files agent as a drone and has a bit of a chat back and forth as the files agent does its jobs.
Yep.
And then only then, like, so this bot doesn't actually call all these functions directly, because you actually there's quite a bit of prompting required to make the file system be driven correctly, like
Yeah.
to be aware of commits and to be aware of branches and all these things takes a lot of prompting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the ERD for describing the Git branching model is going to be, but it's scary to me.
I'm less scared about that one, because the ERD is consistently providing coherency. It
All
might not
right.
be correct, but
Well,
it
if
definitely
you
gets
think you
coherent.
can make an ERD that describes the Git branching model, I'll take my headset off to you.
Okay. All right. That's a challenge then.
But the general point there is that these are raw isolates that have no brains, but putting them all behind a well-prompted agent that can do different things, and then allowing this thing to know about the agents and to call them might be a great way to encapsulate the system, because it takes the burden off of this top-level bot to have all these commands that it has to think about and know about, and it reduces it down to just one command, anything to do with files, call this guy. He's the file guy.
Yeah, and then you pass in, it's got write in it, and then you've got the intent, because you've got what you've been talking about. It's like, okay, I want to write this.
Okay.
What is this? And what does write mean?
Okay, cool. All right, I'll make the thing. I'll make that thing.
That'd be cool. Whatever your estimate on this one is, I'd probably treble it, because I think there's nuances here. But if you can get this done, this would be brilliant.
Okay, well, you leave that one to me, and then I'll lob it back to you, and you can sort out the prompt and the tests for it, because I think you've known all along what you want this agent to do. I think you've always been trying to build Superbot, but you know that a Superbot is actually in charge of agents. And I think this whole way along, you've really been trying to figure out how to have Superbot that switches under the hood, I think.
Yeah, and it's a bit like the Star Trek model, right? They're on the Enterprise, and the guy says, I don't know, Scotty, he's not even saying computers. Like, he goes and he communicates, Scotty, what's the status of the engines, whatever. And somehow it knows that who Scotty is, what the where he is, what communication path he's got available, and opens a channel, and then passes the message. Yeah, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah,
it's that sort of thing.
Right. So that if we could get
a really geeky example, I'm sorry about that.
If we could get this model beat, then the biggest problem we have is how do you arrange all of these components to use Hammer? And it starts to seem to me like Hammer presents a single agent that is the Hammer Superbot, and then Hammer would just be just another drone in this list, and then this bot is talking to the Hammer drone, and then inside the Hammer drone it's doing that same trick again, where it's calling on different agents and doing different things.
Right. That's why the 3 box, I think, still stands. Even with just voice and voice, you still want something displayed, and because you get a lot more information.
Shall I jump on to the voice demo?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Okay.
I've had a little play with it, but I've been working on the.
It's pretty clear that that's the future, and I'm what's the word? You know when you had way too many coffees and you're like, I am alive, but I am also incapacitated.
That's exactly how I feel right now, because I'm on my 4th coffee. Yeah.
Dude. 10 a.m.
I know. I've been up for 4 hours. I'm at lunchtime.
So the voice command seems to be... Oh, Christ almighty, this is slow.
We'll deal with that later.
I don't want to deal with it now. I might deal with it while you go away. I'll be like, it's time for me to have some fun.
Oh, actually, yeah. You got a whole week of me not asking for new functions.
Oh, like the list that you left behind isn't enough. So when I hit this mic button, that's because it needs this dedicated on, off, review, and then send. Right. It's actually what we'd be suggesting is to replace this mic button with the realtime API. And then we'd have to sort of the transcript of the voice is so crappy that it is totally to be disposed of. Like, it is just awful. And so it's actually the purpose of the chat, I think, is to generate clear, concise system prompt messages. Like, this is a genius speaking. It's the purpose is to generate, using your voice and your stuttering and your what did I mean and all that, to generate for you a concise payload that's like, this is what I want, bang. And then,
Right.
so
And
this
it,
becomes more the command history.
and in order to do that, so I got that drop of the app that you got 2 days before me on the thing where you can interrupt
Yep.
and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So I've been playing with that, and the irritating thing, well, there's a few irritating things about it. Number one, all the voices sound Californian. Number two,
No, they don't.
talk
There's a
so
British one. There's a British
Is
one.
there?
Yeah.
I haven't found the British one. Well, but the point is they talk too slowly, and they give like the full answer of what you're asking, and then they go, it's so polite. It's
Yeah,
like,
right. Okay, so this is now, you're able to now sysprompt.
Yeah. Can I do that? Oh yeah, you mentioned this last night.
Also, have you noticed this button? You can
Smart.
use the AI to generate sysprompts here.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's all throughout the playground now. You can use it. You can even use it to make functions and then generate some fake schemas for you, and then also generate some fake outputs. It's actually pretty cool.
That is quite cool. All right.
Okay,
let's
so you
stick it
ready?
into a Scottish. Let's hear the Scottish thing. Voice.
So hang on, I figured these parameters I need to tweak.
What's prefix padding?
So it's got, what it's got is it's got server-side voice activity detection, and when it detects that you've started talking, what you should do is try and give the server a bit more beforehand of what was said, because it helps the recognition, because the voice activity might have kicked in like partway through a syllable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that is. Silence duration is I seem to pause a lot when I talk, so I need a bit more time.
Yeah, because I noticed that if you pause and you're thinking,
Yeah,
it starts talking.
I know. And so what I noticed was when my son was talking, they would get into this resonance where like he would go to talk, and then the model would have only just started talking from last time, and then he would stop, and so it would stop, but it would just have got cut off from the first word he said, and they'd ping back and forth about 10 times. And so that can be dampened by setting these settings right. So this is probably the API I've been most excited about getting, because it is true multimodal, where you can be generating voice, but I can on the side be sending in extra prompts and information. So my son can be talking to this thing, and then I can be in the background being like, ask him about blah 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 blah.
Like, computer, I want to make transparent aluminium.
Right.
And it's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, with two
Right.
fingers.
So here's the thing. Without further ado, hey there, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. How can I help you today?
Can you speak in a Scottish accent, please? It would help me feel more relaxed.
Aye, I can die that. Now, what can I help you with today?
That's a terrible accent. What's an accent that you're really good at doing?
Oh dear. Well, I can always switch to a British accent if that's more to your liking. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'd like that actually. A British accent would be perfect.
Splendid. Now, what can I do for you today?
Can you complain about something like a true British person?
Oh, don't get me started. The weather's been absolutely dreadful, hasn't it? It's either pouring down or it's so muggy you can
No,
hardly
it's
breathe.
not actually.
And
It's
don't
actually
e-
quite. It's quite sunny. It's quite sunny. I was there very recently, and it was like paradise.
Well, isn't that a pleasant surprise? A bit of sunshine in Britain is always welcome. Must have been a lovely visit then.
Tell it to be a happy skeptic. Be grumpy.
Can you be a happy skeptic and be quite grumpy? Thank you.
Well, I suppose I can give it a go. It's all well and good having sunshine, but you never know how long it'll last, do you? Best to enjoy it while you can before the next downpour comes along.
That was funny.
All right, so I got
an actual task.
hang on. I got one more I got one more demo to give you before I start presenting what I think is the way to integrate this. You'll also notice that, like, so you end up with the transcript being in this sort of unaudible.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's
Yeah.
sort of like the where it gets cut off. It's quite the chat is actually pretty. It doesn't have a lot of information in it. Whereas when I'm chatting with the message box, the message history has meaning to me because I actually thought about each input, and then, you know, whereas this is just raw. And so the way I think that we should present this transcript in our 3-box UI is that actually we just give it like a continual audio stream that you can sort of scrub in and out and hear the actual audio and navigate around it like that. But this box, what was the message window or the chat window is not actually chat. It's just like the command history, because each thing has much more meaning now.
Right. So we can prompt this, right?
Yeah, you can prompt the whole thing. And
So stick in the prompt a few keywords like, I don't know, if I give a file, give a command like files list, and then give it a bit of JSON or whatever. If I say,
oh no, look, I'm gonna show you that that it's difficult to show you that in this playground. I'm gonna show you that in an actual application running. And then
ideal.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. Don't say I never look after you.
It's like Christmas every day.
Every day, right? Every day more Christmas, and then one day Skynet. But till then,
Well, that's all right. I think the basilisk is. No, we're on his side on this one. We're safe.
I don't think anyone's safe, but that's not the point. Okay, so here we go. Now,
Hey there, how's it going? What can I help you with today?
today I'd like to check the weather in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I'd be very surprised if it isn't raining.
All right, I've got the weather for Edinburgh, Scotland. It's currently 11.6 degrees Celsius with a light wind at
That's fine. Can you add to the memory that I like butter snacks?
Got it. I've added to my memory that you like butter snacks.
Watch this window.
Anything else you'd like?
Yeah, can you also take note that I am a very sarcastic person?
Absolutely. I've noted that you're a very sarcastic person.
You see how quick
Anything
that is?
else you want to add or explore?
That's brilliant.
That's insanely fast. Like it's like it's so fast that
Does this have access to? Well, obviously it does because it got the weather right. That is the weather.
so it's doing function calls, and you can see them. One of these is the function call. Sorry, function call arguments. There, function call
So where's the-
set memory.
Right, that's its own internal API, right?
No, that's the prompted functions that it gets. So you can, just like a normal bot, you can add functions in to it. You can set the temperature, all these kinds of things. So we can use our agent format here. This exact like for example, this bot could be made real-time audio,
Right.
and it can make these calls.
Okay. Can you tell it to reason about itself? It's like, I want to see what an API call would look like to CNN News right now.
Maybe, but the issue is that I don't think that's appropriate for the type of like this. This is hopeless for giving you visual information. So the way I wanted to present to you that we should integrate this is that I take out the mic button doesn't do what it used to do. When you hit the mic, you go into real-time mode. When you go into real-time mode and you say something like what you just said, it would try to generate a message that was finely crafted to call the current.
Yeah, but you want the answer, because the answer could involve a chain of reasoning.
Yeah, but that should show in the command box. And then when it's done, the voice would give you a quick summary of it. But the point is that the voice should be as like it would be as though you were sitting in front of or that you were speaking and I was listening and I was chatting to you back and forth, and then so we can do that right now. Like, tell me what is the thing you want to do, and I will act like the real-time agent and show you how I would imagine it interacting.
Right. This is probably it probably doesn't know about it because we haven't published it and so on. But the sort of thing would be, I've just made changes to the agent files.md.
Okay.
Can you run the tests and give me a summary of whether I've broken it or not?
Okay, so to get that straight, benevolent user, you want me to look up all of the agent files that you've recently changed?
Yep. So
is that the file? Is that the agent files that you've changed in the last day?
Let me be precise in saying I've just made changes to let's say weather agents stroke weather.md.
Right.
I want to know whether I've broken anything. Can you run the tests on that and tell me if I have, and if so, where, and if not, tell me it's all okay. Which is, inside the system, something you could do with maybe 10 prompts.
Yeah, so in this case, I would have kept the chat going with you. You and I have a chat history of this conversation, but my job in life is to generate prompts that go into the deeper system. And so, right?
Yeah. So
because you can't
easily translate that to, okay, so what I'll do with that one is I would say / test file runner. We'll swap to test file runner. Then I'll say run weather agent.md. Weather agent.test.md. Inside the test MD, it would have the target as weather agent, and run them all, and then there'll be a whole report in there. Then what I'd expect is it to give. Remember, I wrote that really kind of gash.
Yeah. So look, I think you get what I'm trying to do here is that the voice is there to help you craft a very good message that has a very high chance of being right first time. And if it isn't right, then the voice agent will probably correct it a little bit for you.
Yes, and so if we have, for example, definitions of, if I talk about a file that is inside of your folder, then that's the subject.
The voice bot is really this is where you can go to town on intent, because it's not your deep intent, it's just what is your intent with the computer. So it's like you want the computer to do something, and this presentation layer, this interface, this user interface, not a GUI, a VUI. The voice user interface is trying to work out from you what to make the command to be.
Right. So it seems then that what you're saying is I don't know how complex this is to do, but it could easily handle something like computer. Create a new file in Agents called Weather in Scotland.
Correct.
.md.
Correct.
And add in the contents
Yeah.
of you are to tell me what the weather is in Scotland using any website, weather site that you can find.
Right. Now let me show you how that's enhancing what we're doing. Computer, I want you to create an agents file called Weather in Scotland, and inside it I want you to say I am. Oh no, wait. I want you to say I am a helpful assistant with a Scottish accent, and I'm always sometimes pessimistic. So the fault with the transcription that I see at the moment is that your command comes out with all this garbage.
Yeah, but then
right?
you can send it all one and say
no. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is that the real-time bot would remove all of that, and it would just give you a very high-grade prompt.
Well, yeah. I mean that's now we're just back into normal prompt engineering. I could take that. And then, for example, let's put this down. I went to create an agent's file. So I can give, well, we've already got it actually. We're talking about files, and so we're talking about /file is to create. That's the action. So we've got the thing that's doing the action. We've got the verb that is create, and it's called Weather in Scotland. It knows that it has to do weather in Scotland.md and stick it in the agent's file, because that's all prompted, or that's all inside of the HAL. Inside it, which it would interpret it as the file it's just created. I want you to say, I am, oh no, wait. I want you to say, it will be able to strip out.
What would be able to strip that? Which part of the system is stripping that out?
What's your what's the name of that function that you read, which is like reduce the prompt? You've already written it. What's it called? You know, strip out the nonsense stuff of the prompt. You've already written it. Damn it.
Did I? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I think we're talking about a different thing. So let me try and reiterate where the integration point for the real-time API is. It is, I believe, the real-time API would have done all the prompt crafting to get rid of the natural parts of speech that are not part of the prompt. So we would prompt the real-time voice assistant to have its sole job to generate this message to be as high quality as possible, but it would also go back and forth with you a bit. And so we've got these 3 levels of refinement. The first level of refinement is the real-time API is going from stuttering, stammering, background noise, change of direction, loss of memory, all those speech faults, and going into clean, meaningful, well-developed prompt where it may have asked you some clarifying questions just to get things right.
Well, it could even be a prompt chain.
Either way, it ends up as being a command that goes into the command box to be executed. Then the second level of refinement that we have is something like the reasoning proxy that I just showed you before, where it could be like a mini model that just runs around and cleans up what you're doing, makes a plan, whatever. That's the second level of refinement. And then the final level of refinement is where you call like the wise man on the mountain, which is like O1 preview. But to get to the mountain, first of all, you would have gone, just to get your first prompt, you would have gone back and forth with the voice agent maybe 5 or 6 times to get a good, clean prompt. Then you would have gone back and forth with the for a mini agent maybe 2 or 3 times to get clarifying questions about what you're trying to do and consider some simple alternatives.
The healthy thing,
Yeah,
right?
and then
once
finally
you're
the
happy,
Big Daddy
you go to
call.
sorry, no. Finally, you go to Mini.
Fine.
Mini is very good at doing structured stuff.
No,
and
man,
that's
we
when
lost.
you get
No,
control.
we split again.
Okay.
So, entry
Right. You've
level.
gone
Entry level is getting
nonsense. Yeah.
all the noise out of the speech, and it's just going from speech into well thought out writing. Well thought out writing is a command that goes into the system to be processed by an entry level model like 4.0 Mini. 4.0 Mini would do the HAL style loop of getting clarifying questions and making sure that it thinks about what you're saying a bit more. And it may also run around and do some preparation, like fetch something from the web, get the time, read a file, whatever. And then your final level of refinement is when it fires off a call to O1 to do some very deep thinking on a very well-structured, well-formed question, which then comes back down the mountain, down to 4.0 Mini to then deal with and process, and then the voice then spits out a quick-fire little summary about what happened. But under the hood, large volumes of text might have changed, tests might have run, nuclear weapons might have been launched, but the voice thing's just like, okay, we bombed Belarus, it's done.
Right, and O1 preview, of course, can be prompted to say you're checking against. You feed the O1 preview your original messy text and what you've done, and O1 is great at reasoning about whether your reasoning is right.
That's not what I meant at all. That's not what I meant at all, because the messy text should have been cleaned up at that first stage, because don't forget, the real-time voice is currently 4.0. Like, that's 4.0 you're talking to in that voice snippet. So it's, like...
I disagree, but here's why. We'll have to test this. But O1 is good at seeing if it's complete, coherent, correct, given a whole bunch of stuff. So if you were to pass in messy text, which 4.0 Mini has done, 4.0 Mini knows, say, about the commands that's available, including fetch, and can even go ahead and fetch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not there. Then you pass that entire thing to O1 and say, the original question was this, and here's all the work we've done. Pass back something succinct. And it's like, the weather is this.
All right, so, okay, well...
but
I guess I don't care about that detail, right? If you want to run it like that, fine. The principle is what I'm...
As a guess, yeah. But
the principle is what I'm trying to sell to you here.
Yeah, no, you've sold it about 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm just selling when it's already been sold. All right, so just to be clear what I'm doing then, I'm going to integrate that real-time API to be, this mic is no longer going to be there. The mic connects you up to this real-time speech API, which helps you work towards generating a really nice, clean, well-thought-out, well-spoken prompt that goes into the command history.
Right.
And then that command, once it goes into the command history, then everything that we've been working on to this date kicks off, all the bots kick in, whatever. But then when the response comes back, the voice model doesn't read it out verbatim. It takes a very discrete summary of it, because if you want to know more, you can ask for more, or you can read the damn screen, whatever.
But also, what would be helpful, okay.
You said, hang on, you said also. Okay. Does that mean you concur with what I said?
I agree with everything you just said.
All right, because I'm going to build that, and that's going to cost us. So,
yes. it will
now's
be
the time to mention if you're feeling a little, if there's anything slightly a whiff with that, because that will not be
no
pleasant to unpick.
Essentially, what it's doing. Okay, so I'll reflect back just to make sure I'm agreeing with what I think you just said.
Okay, great.
Given a messy oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. What I meant to say was this.
Yeah.
The process goes through effectively creating that into the syntax of the system. For example,
Yep.
test file runner, run these tests, or whether run Edinburgh, whatever it is, and it compacts it into that, and then it gets checked to make sure it's correct and agrees with your original intent. If it doesn't, O1 says, is it, I don't know, Perth, Scotland, or Perth, Australia that you're talking about? What's the weather in Perth? So it's like, oh, I'm talking about Australia. Right, okay. So any ambiguity is picked up by O1 because it's very good at that.
Yep.
And then it's like, right, now we've got effectively a prompt chain that if you were an expert user, you could have typed out, assuming you're not wearing VR, you could have typed out.
Correct. Yeah.
And it would be it.
You can shortcut. Yeah, you can shortcut the voice agent by just typing it out here. But when you type, you don't really make the same mistakes that you make when you're speaking, because you type in complete sentences. Yeah, there may be spelling, whatever, but you don't and you don't type you don't, when you say,
Yeah,
oh no, I didn't mean Perth, I meant Sydney, you backspace.
Yeah, exactly. But also when you type, you make other things like spelling Scott with one T instead of two T's.
So they're different kind of mistakes, but they're not the same. I didn't mean to say that. Like the quality of the input from a typed input is generally far better than if it just simply transcribed what you said.
Right, exactly. And what we're avoiding here is the need to teach anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it lowers the because the switching, like this business was actually, now we had to teach people about /. But actually what we're talking about now is we're going to dump this whole component and we're going to have this voice thing that you always talk to, or this message box that you always put into, and it's always going into one bot, and that bot manages all the other bots.
But a super user can just give messy voice and get it about right.
Yeah.
And then talk to, just type in, having, say if you're in, I don't know, debug mode, it's like, here's the prompts we're about to run. It's like, prompt 3, no.
You can modify it. Yeah.
It's like, okay, the pony for Christmas would be if you get this prompt chain that is correct, and O1 agrees it's correct, and there's no ambiguity, it's quite happy above a certain threshold, and it runs it. What you don't want to really see in normal user land is all these things popping up. What you want is, got it, I'm going to go and get you the weather in Perth, Australia. Thank you for telling me it was Australia. Chicks, round, and then, it perhaps every 5 seconds or whatever, 10 seconds, it's saying, still looking. I'm still, the website's not come back.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Well, no, because it would fire it off as almost like a mail message, and then it's like the chatter would be like, hey, so, we'll just wait for that to complete. Statistically, that'll take about 5 minutes.
And you can start talking about
the next thing.
Do I need shorts in Barcelona this time?
Yeah, and then you're like, do you want to chat about something else? What do you want to do once that information comes back? Why do you want this information? What else can I do in the meantime to prepare?
Which is damn close to the way that you and I talk, right?
Yeah.
You got a set of commands, that you think that we're talking about. I've got a set of commands. We correct each other, and it's like, that's fine. Then we switch to talking about Barcelona, and we switch back to talking about Lamdog and Josh, and then we go, right, we got an answer to the thing that we were actually
That's right.
meant to be
That's right.
talking
That's
about.
right. And then the focus switches back to that, and on we go. Right.
Man, that would be awesome.
That's kind of the platonic way. That's the ultimate way for you to interact with a machine. Is in that fashion, right? Because it's the full depth.
But also, it's the same cycle. Say if it come back with, it didn't pick up that there's Perth in Scotland and Perth in Australia. There happened to be Perth in Arizona. I don't know if there is. And it didn't pick up that there's more than one Perth, and it come back with Perth in Arizona. Then you can go something like, no, when I ask for weather, what I want you to do is to make sure you ask me which country I'm in if there's more than one city with the same name. And now that becomes a test. That test then goes into, potentially changes the ERD, and then it goes through the ERD test cycle and becomes coherent, and then correct, and then tests against real data and becomes complete. Coherent, correct, and complete. So that cycle itself at the back end means that you can program this thing just by going, oh god, there's a lot of Perths, aren't there? Perth,
None of them are in Arizona, though. Sorry.
Okay, well, Perth, Paris. Yeah, you like Perth in Australia, don't you? Well, not you, but Australia likes Perth. Canada likes Perth more. Interesting. So the point is, you can set your own config by either saying no. Every time I say I want weather in a place.
Yeah. But that's different. That's not relate. That's in the weeds of bot prompting and memory storage and all that. That's not.
Oh no, no. I disagree. It's not in the weeds. I think it's absolutely compatible and crucial to actually getting this really ballser because.
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah, you're talking about a level of detail that, like, I'm trying to make the box that we sit in. You're talking about inside the box.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so this started out. All this started out with was me checking with you that I was about to commit some serious time and research effort into making that real-time agent be the voice thing. That's what I was trying to check with you.
So let's get into a bit more detail. So yes, to the higher level sales pitch, as it were. Okay. Now, when you talk, you're talking to one bot. Yeah, is what we were talking about at the top of the call.
Yeah.
And that bot knows about other bots, so it's a bit like a switchboard.
Yeah, but it's a competent switchboard. It's a switchboard it's the bot that does all the stuff.
Right. So what it's not doing, which was the thing that was irritating both of us, is switchboard was not actually switching you to another bot, and now there's a new bot you've got to talk to.
No, it's actually trying to achieve the task, and it talks to the bots for you, not you talk to the bots. You only talk to it.
So there's one bot to rule them all.
Yep.
That's the only one you've got a relationship with.
Yep.
It's got all these bots.
Yep.
And it might come back with an erroneous problem.
Right.
But then you can go into, like, you can not only, you can go into the text and say, right, show me the bots in that last run, and run tests, or show me the tests, TPS report, on that last run. And then as a human, you can go, right, I didn't tell it the country.
All right, so I think then the way we handle the issue with, what does a thread mean? How do we communicate with a remote system like Hammer? I think the way to do it is with the concept of topic branches. So this one bot in this one thread is, you start chatting with it, and it's always when it thinks you're on a new topic, it makes a new topic branch. It's still the same conversation, but in this topic branch, the changes to the files are all isolated to within that topic. Because you could be
Yes.
doing your Rogan Josh recipes, and then you could switch to making
Right, because
modifications to agents.
it's not such a high cognitive overload. If I were to talk to you right now and saying, I need to get my cats dewormed,
Mm.
it's like, okay, now we can have a 5 minute, we won't, but 5 minute thing. We've now got a new topic.
Mm.
And then we get to halfway through and you go, I really don't give a shit about your cats being dewormed. It's like, okay, mate, sorry about that. Right, let's get back about how to architect an AI system. And
Yeah. And so the error that I think I was making was that all of the messages in the thread. Oh God, I hope I have them here. I don't have them. Just imagine that these are messages. All of the messages in the thread I treated as being the same level, but I think.
Yeah, but don't you need to like label them as a topic?
Hang on, I was trying to get to that before
That's
you.
all right. Sorry.
So what I think now is the way to do it is that you'd have a bunch of commands, let's call them commands and responses, that relate to a specific topic, but then because you've got this one bot here, you may have started indicating that you wanted to switch topic here. These wouldn't be considered part of the topic branch. And so when you switch back to another topic, it would probably load up the previous topic messages as well. Like if it's there's talking about a topic and then there's revisiting a topic you've already started, which you'd expect to pull up the history, right? And so in this one bot, it would be like thinking, and then you'd see your last like 5 or 6 messages pop up because it reloaded the topic branch. And now when you do things and it thinks it's appropriate, it's putting new commands into the topic branch that are modifying this sandbox isolated environment of the topic branch.
I see what you're meaning, but there's I don't know whether this is too much in the weeds too early, but
That's never stopped you before, buddy. Why stop now?
A lively conversation can switch between topics.
Yep.
But the switch might have some quite interesting thing. You could talk about your cat because you're going on holiday, so the topic is going on holiday. And I
Right.
go, oh hey, my cat needs dewormed, and so it's possibly that each response, each prompt response needs some kind of weighting against the topic. So it's not a black and white. It's not in a topic.
No. Yeah, that's right. And it can also change in the past as well. Like the central bot can be like, oh, I see, we've actually been talking about this broader topic all along. And then it would like check with you and be like, is that really what you mean? Is this a new topic, or did you want to stay with this one? Asking a subtle sort of question like that is really not a bad thing.
It's brilliant. So imagine, to hammer the analogy, you're talking about, a second.
Because humans do that all the time. Like we check with each other if we're still on the same topic or if we've switched. Because it tends to happen.
Also, you can go back in fuzzy topics.
It doesn't have to be a topic. There's this base thread where you're just chatting with your guy that's not a topic thread, but it's also not making any changes to the file system at all. It's just chatting. And so that's sort of, that's...
and a precise example is over the last 5 minutes, what are we talking about? Are we talking about topic switching? Are we talking about AI voice? Are we talking about cats, or are we talking about holidays? We talked about all of those in the last 5 minutes, but it didn't seem unnatural.
No.
So a topic is not a black and white thing.
No, it's not. It's not, and it can change around. And then this model lets you do that use case you illustrated, which was, I want to take all of this topic and merge it with that topic, or I want to be in this topic and I want to strip out everything to do with this type of Rogan Josh. And you can start getting your bot to do topic management for you at a semantic level, like an intelligent level.
Right, but wouldn't it be cool if on the skateboard, every time you're talking, you get a new lozenge with your new topic name? It's like, you're talking about AI. You're talking about cats. You talk about AI. Talk about AI and cats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, right, let's merge those. And then suddenly you've got, the full thread of all, the use of an analogy of cats and AI.
So tell me then what happens to the message display when I change topics. Does it get replaced? Because the message history has been kind of sacred so far. Like nothing alters it.
But well, this seems to kind of alter it unless you ask for it.
Right? Because it's sort of like, it'll be like the same as being in ChatGPT and clicking on a different conversation. I want to see the stuff related to this conversation, right? I don't want to see everything.
Right, okay.
Right?
Remember yesterday when I was talking about transcription of audio, I said what I use transcription is the timestamp. So the way I use it is, when did we talk about cats and AI? And it's like at 1 hour 43. I was like, okay, take me to 1 hour 43. And that at that point, that's where you want to see the transcription, or even get it read out to you. But what you don't want is this whole thing.
No, that's right. That's right. Okay, so how about this for a proposal then? When you switch topics, I will use each topic will be continually summarized or segmented, as in like I'm always, every time I add a new message to a topic, I'm going to keep track of what the last, say, 10 relevant messages were. Or
sorry, man, can you give me 2 seconds? I've just got
2
a
seconds,
call,
sure.
which I suspect it's
the cat deworming.
Yeah. I'll be back.
No worries.
Hi, welcome to LiveKit. Hey there, what are you working on today?
What can you do for me?
I can help you explore how to build voice, video, and AI applications using LiveKit. If you have any specific projects or questions in mind, feel free to share.
Yeah, so tell me about your pricing model, particularly for using the real-time voice API with OpenAI.
LiveKit Cloud offers a flexible pricing model with a generous free tier. You get charged based on permanent connection fees and outbound bandwidth. If you're curious about how this might fit your project, let me know.
Hey everyone. So as a part of LiveKit's agents release, we're putting out some example apps that are using the framework. So this one's called Kit. You may have remembered a previous example, also called Kit. This is the successor to that, using the new agents framework. So Kit is a ChatGPT voice clone. So this one's using DeepGram to do transcription. It's using ChatGPT to produce a response, and it's using 11 Labs to produce audio from that response and sending it back to me, the user. So I've got it muted right now, but let me show you how it works. Hey, so I've been thinking about the Roman Empire lately. Can you tell me something about it?
Absolutely. The Roman Empire was one of the largest and most powerful empires in history, emerging after the end of the Roman Republic around 27 BC. It was established when Julius Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra and became the first Roman emperor, Augustus. The empire lasted until the fall of Constantinople in 1453 AD. It's known for its extensive road networks, the development of concrete for building, and its complex legal system. Is there a specific aspect of the Roman Empire you're interested in, like its military, politics, engineering, culture, or something else?
So I've got it muted again. So that's Kit. You can see it works pretty fast. A couple things to note here. So what you're seeing here is the LiveKit agents playground. So this is a general UI that we provide for you to help you iterate on your agents. So agents are typically written for the backend, so using like the Python SDK. And we didn't want agent developers to also have to build a front end that goes with them. So we provide this general, kind of like one-size-fits-all front end that can be used to help iterate on agents, on your agent. The source code for this kit, if you go in the top right here on kit.livekit.io, the GitHub button will take you to the source code for this. You can look at that and compare it to the old kit source code. You'll see how much cleaner and simpler it is to build this. So thank you very much, and have fun building.
And back in the room. Sorry about that.
Hey, buddy. No worries.
I'll explain at the end of the call.
Okay, that's all good.
Video.
So, where I was trying to get to, and I apologize in advance for being pushy about this. This is a major direction shift, and I want to make sure we're very clear about it. so I don't get into a tangle later.
No, this is well, for the avoidance of doubt, this is
Yeah, well,
only
hang on.
24%.
I haven't finished. I haven't finished yet. There are some other bits that you need to consider that you might think are
Oh,
superfluous
all right.
or not.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, my strategy with building out this platform has been to try and choose moves that pack as many features all at once into one batch of work. Now, the technical difference between integrating or turning this microphone button into the real-time voice assistant is the transition to being having WebSockets in this page. And again, as I mentioned previously, there are some other areas that I want to integrate WebSockets to solve some
Yeah,
other.
you've been talking about it for
Yeah.
pretty
And so
well.
what I want to do is I want to bundle all that work together as one, so that it's like the WebSocket project, and then I can get all these wins out of one set of work. And so the extra piece that I'm debating chucking in there is at the cost of including another service. So LiveKit has done a remarkable thing, in my opinion, and they've made a mesh network around the world that deals with WebRTC traffic. WebRTC being the web browser attempt at doing direct peer-to-peer communications between all the browsers.
Real-time comms, is it?
Yeah, for real-time comms, but it can also be used for real-time data of any kind, and it can be used to also give you scale when you got a lot of people. Not that that's a problem for us just now, but anyway, why I'm talking about this. Well, I want to use their cloud to be the thing that transmits our live voice data over. Sorry, I thought there was a better picture here. Here we go. This is what it looks like from around the world. These SFUs are
2,000 viewers.
They're basically saying that they built a worldwide network of WebRTC relays, so that if you're in a browser in Edinburgh and a browser in Auckland, you connect to the nearest point of presence, and then it gets routed through their backbone, so that because what I'm trying to get at is that I want to, when I include the streaming for the real-time voice chat, I want to also include streaming between people, so that you and I can be on the platform and together talk, have a real-time video feed and voice feed, but also using the same technology under the hood, the same cloud service, be having the real-time voice chat as well. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I freaked one up the other day by putting the new voice app next to my laptop while having a Zoom call, so it's effectively a three-way where only two are humans.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah,
and it was kind of cool.
Right. So that's what I want for us, but I want to check for you what your appraisal of the value of that is. Whether it's, I think it's not much extra effort, but regardless, it is some extra effort. It's non-zero, and it's another API. It's another cloud service that we gotta.
So you're asking me for my view on priority?
Well,
or
not priority on direction, because it's clear you've given me your view on priority that yes, we need the real-time voice thing because it's an integral part of the finished product, right? And now I'm asking you for, I'm trying to, like a greedy little piglet, pack in some extra features into the work required to do that real-time voice integration, and I want to double check with you whether these extra features that I could lay the groundwork for or not, whether they are something that you would find useful or think is
Right.
a useful
So
thing.
give me a use case. Well, I'll give you a use case and describe whether or not this is required for it. So say if there is a new client, there's maybe 3 people who are helping them build a bot, and we're asking them about the bot, and the bot is doing its thing that you just showed. Now, how could we do that without having this, and what would happen if we did have this?
Oh,
Because
well,
that's
it's
an
clear
obvious
to show you the
thing.
problem, right? Okay, so right now I got this issue. I have to mess around with taking recording on this headset. I then have to get off this call, upload it, transfer like 6 gigabytes of data up to YouTube. It processes it, does all that, blah blah blah. If we had this system in place, we would both fire up our browser, turn on the mic. That's it. And we don't have to record our meetings anymore. We don't have to do.
So we've got latency to worry about. We've got
Well, no, not in that
diarization.
scenario. Not in that scenario, because
No.
here we are in the VR world, right? We've got our communication. This system doesn't need to be the one transferring the voice to us. It just simply needs to be the one transcribing it and recording it.
Oh, I see. So if this lags 2 or 3 seconds, who cares?
Who cares, right? But additionally, if I choose to do it with this model and it lives up to its promise, the latency will possibly be better than our call right now. And so if we wanted to have a non-VR call with someone, we could then fire up a web browser using HAL. In the state board would show the video feed of the participants in the call, and now we're all having a call like Jitsi, but it's recorded, it's low latency, and the bots are there, and the bots can process the transcription later as well as in real time.
But also, presumably, because the bots are there, we could actually be building the app that they need.
Right, on the fly. We're
Right.
there jockeying with them, doing the thing.
Man, that would be very close to magic.
Right, okay, because if we don't have this...
It's like, so 5 people around the world decide to build a bot. They get on this with the previous, and we're actually writing files that can then be executed just by talking about what it needs to do.
Yeah.
That would be...
But there's no
magic.
extra apps involved, right? And so it can be quite seamless to go from us being on the platform to suddenly flicking to a video call, because the bots are like, hey, you're both sitting here, you're both talking about the same thing. Do you want me to just open up this video channel real quick? And then it's like, yep. And the bot can be there.
All right. I'm sold on the idea. Now, the next question, obviously, is opportunity cost. If you're doing... I'm assuming you're going to do the integration of voice first as the biggest thing, and webhooks as a requirement, a prerequisite.
WebSockets, because we actually need that to clear out some errors and some reliability. And the price is going up for KV, because now that we started using files, we're burning through like half a gig of data a day because of the inefficiencies.
Also, I can't remember the last time we've had a call that you haven't talked about WebSockets.
True.
It's been on your mind.
Right.
So opportunity cost, adding, I don't know anything about LiveKit other than what you just said,
right.
But on the face of it, on that use case, that would be very close to magic.
Okay. But so what does magic cost is the question.
Well, yeah. What does magic displace? As in, what we're not going to be able to do until.
Well, we can ask that even deeper. Can we, or should we, responsibly defer the real-time API to sometime later because it's not, strictly speaking, required to get. Look, do you think it's required to deliver the CRM? Or to ask it a different way, do you think it's required to make the tools to make the CRM? Like, if it gives us a boost in productivity just for us, that's worth it.
Define more specifically the real-time API. What do you mean by that?
The voice chat with OpenAI's models, where you're just chatting back and forth.
No, because we could
just type it.
We can share URLs with the other person. I can be sitting there going, okay, so give me another business rule. We could, with testing, once testing is in place, we can do the CRM. It doesn't require anything else.
Just testing is the only thing that's required for the CRM, right?
That is the bottleneck at the moment. Once we get testing, then we can create the CRM.
Oh, what a joy killer. Okay, fine.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. The final
on the plus side, I don't think testing's
there's a plus side.
Yeah. Well, it's not on your side of things.
Yeah, there's that bug. There's that bug that I'll fix right now after we get off this call, but or keep trying to fix it. But yeah, testing. It feels like it's over to you.
Yeah. I've got a lot to say about it.
Okay. There's one more feature I want to mention that this layout will enable for us.
Mm-hmm.
It will enable us to be able to set up phone numbers where you can phone in to HAL, so that you as a person could just, for a small fee per month, have your own phone number that people can call in, and it would call into your live call with you that has a bot present, or it can talk to a bot.
Well, it would be a small step from there, which probably people would prefer, which would be WhatsApp my bot. It's like, bot, what's the projections for this month?
Right, but that's possible now, but this would do it with the voice, the real-time voice. You could have a WhatsApp call with HAL.
Well, I've now this is a kind of social thing, but I've been polling people about it. It seems to be people feel awkward talking one-on-one with a bot,
right?
But they are very happy to talk to,
a person with a bot present. Yeah, very much so, right?
I don't know why. I don't know.
Right.
I
So we could. This could allow us to have voice calls with anyone using the plain old telephone system, and also have a bot present that can either jump in when required or can simply take transcriptions.
Yeah, well, the one caveat to what I've just said is the one-on-one awkwardness. You talking to a bot makes you... I think people feel awkward. I don't know if this is right. It's like I'm talking to an inanimate thing. I'm talking to my laptop, effectively, and everyone thinks I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You put your phone on, and everyone thinks it's just another person.
Oh, so you're saying that if you could chat to it like it was a phone call, people would feel more comfortable with it.
And then you could say, right, can you send me, your, transcript of this to my email, please?
Right.
Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.
Right.
It would sound like you're talking to a PA, right?
Well, right.
But
right.
If you talk to your laptop, everyone gets weirded out. Talk to your phone, nobody gets weirded out.
That's funny.
It is weird, isn't it? I never expected that.
No, neither. Okay, well, this is the system we would need to be able to enable phone calls.
I think this is worth doing now. Again, what are we not doing if we're...
Any time spent on this is time not spent on the trucking app directly. The trucking guys will absolutely need voice to be able to take phone calls, because if we could honestly, if you could turn up to a company like them and be like,
oh man, every customer agent call could have an app. Sorry, could have a bot as a third person, just quiet. Like,
Yeah.
don't say anything.
Well, more importantly, we would be selling to them their phone lines as well. So they only really need an internet connection and our platform, and they've got their file storage, their emails, their voice calls, their accounting system, plus the intelligence that comes with our platform. That's the there is no other piece of software that they should need other than that.
Yeah. Well, my question is on that one, and only you can answer this. So you got weekly calls with these guys. What's their patience like? Because we're effectively producing one bot to rule them all.
Mm.
But they might want, actually, what we want is one of those 9 rings that the Black Riders had. It doesn't need to be that powerful. Do we need
Well,
to
they
just
don't much
something
care. They don't
private?
much care how we do it. They care about speed of delivery. They'd rather have something crappy that works now. And so,
Right.
along that line, having the real-time API is really off the direct path for them. We can deal with
Yeah.
their phone calls later. They just want the testing framework up, and critically, the architecture of how it is that, like, where is their data stored? Where is their instance stored? How do I come in as a user on our platform and interact with it? I think it's with a topic thread. I think.
Yes. Well, yeah, for sure. Because what we need to do is, because they're going to be in, I assume, some kind of supply chain, contract chain, where they're going to require some kind of data privacy,
Well,
certificate
absolutely,
saying
yeah,
that we
yeah,
do
because
that.
it's it's customers' private data, so we can't mess around with
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. So there is a bunch of, and we can speed it up a hell of a lot because we've got bots. Right, here's 3 chunks of stuff, right? We've got this, which is magic. And once we get that, I think we've got the 1 ring. We've got the prerequisites to get to the actual system, which is, I'm convinced, testing and the test process. And then we've got deployment, which is to do with, whatever the Australian version of GDPR or New Zealand version of GDPR is.
Right.
Which I've not looked at, to be honest.
Doesn't
But I'm
matter.
assuming it's going to be
sort that out.
roughly the same.
Yeah.
It's going to be roughly the same.
Yeah.
And that would involve, where's your data? Can you the right to be forgotten, all that.
But
kind of thing.
the real problem, or the real question, is is the user talking to the one Hammer bot, or is the user talking to the one Hal bot, which is then talking to the one Hammer bot, which is then talking to the other agents inside Hammer? That's the biggest question to me.
I think we need to test that with other people. With a test number of 1, which is me. I would much rather
Better than
talk
0.
to one bot, and it's double checks. Say I'm talking about Lamrog and Josh, and then say add a customer called John Doe at this address.
Right,
and
and at that point, you would expect it to switch topic branches over to Hammer, where it may decide that is actually a new topic branch to switch to, and then it would talk to Hammer for you to get that customer created, right?
Sort of, but I'd also prompt it to say, prior to the switch, is like, that sounds like a question for Hammer. You okay with that? I go, yep. Over voice, dead easy, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
And he goes, right, off. And it's like, yep, it's done.
Okay.
Talking to one bot is the 1 ring, right?
Okay. So the reasons I like that design is because it means that if you were talking in Japanese, we wouldn't have to code Hammer in Japanese. Hammer can be English, and the tests run in English, and then the presentation layer, which is HAL, translates between the user in Japanese and English, sort of using the Hammer lingo, but it talks to Hammer in English. The machinery happens, and then the translation is presented back to the user. That's a better way to do it.
But also with that translation, the translation is pretty good, but there's ambiguities because depending on how important a topic is, some countries have a more nuanced number of words than others.
Right.
Like, Inuits have, pardon me, I don't know if this is true or not, but like
Yeah,
100 words for snow.
Sure.
And we've got like snow, wet snow,
Sure.
snow.
So what's the point, though? I don't understand.
The point being, again, with the test network, if we say, right, we're going to incorporate the Inuits into the New Zealand trucking app,
right?
We write those as tests. And we say, right.
Sorry, what are you trying to drive at here? As in, like, you're saying that presentation layer doesn't work, or does work, or what?
No, I'm reinforcing that actually the tests make that happen, but
Just
make it happen in a way that
make what happen?
Make the because we've got the definitions. It will be easy to translate just verbatim from Inuit. I'm sure they've got more than one language, but say there's just one language, Inuit, into English. Because we've got a definition, the bot can figure out, and because it always goes back to a specific term, then the action on the database, which is the thing that people are really interested in, is actually what happens. So
you're saying, okay, so the net result is that our programming model says that apps are developed in primarily one language.
And tests can be produced for other languages.
Right.
Like any other test.
Okay, so the proof to me that we're talking about the same architecture is that if the app was written in Inuit and only Inuit, and nobody had written any tests for English, I should still be able to get a fair way through using the English HAL, where I'm chatting with it and it's doing the translation into Inuit and talking to the Hammer app back and forth for me.
Right, but those tests.
So are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting reverse, actually. So the tests are written in Inuit, and we are talking in English.
Yeah.
And we're saying, I need to clear the snow. And on this side, snow is collapsed down into snow in definition, which is in there. But there might be dry snow, wet snow, yellow snow where the huskies are pissed on it, a whole bunch of stuff. But that is easily encapsulatable inside of a test, saying, right, in English you're saying snow. I'm going to ask you, have the huskies pissed on the snow, or is this dry snow? Is this wet snow?
Oh, so you're saying that one of the benefits of this system is that the presentation layer is able to navigate the nuances between the translation to ensure that the correct action is taken within the foreign language CRM.
Yes, and I would extend that. Yes, that's correct. I'd extend that to saying in the, not this, but our previous conversation, failing text can actually ask questions back and then update itself to say, if I say the huskies are pissed on the snow, what I'm going to do about it, then it turns into a word in the database, which is all in Inuit.
I don't fully get what you mean. I don't fully get what you mean, but it sounds like you're not complaining or resisting that mode.
No. I'm encouraging in that tests first is that was your insight. Test first is being very, very productive.
Yes. Okay.
Very productive.
So that all right, but that's okay. So I will proceed with some theoretical experiments around topic branching. That will mean that your responsibility is topic identification I will come up with a starter for 10 for the architecture, of which this was long thread is now going to be a super long thread. Is like, one thread. It's going to go to one thread, and then
what one bot, and then topics, which the topics are not black and white. It's
but that's so that's your problem. So I'm going to come up with an architecture for you, and you're going to have to deal with the problem of prompting, and we'll sketch our way towards a more concrete definition of that.
Yeah. Now, again, back to my question on priorities. My priority, I think, remains testing, because once we get
absolutely
testing,
100% testing.
The CRM guys.
There's nothing but testing.
Version.
There's nothing but testing, and so that's the thing to focus on.
Yeah, grand.
Okay.
And this is
all just making sure that we have the correct view of where we're heading in terms of the design of our system, and making sure it also stays relevant with developments as well. So that's what this is all about. It'd be cool if you could actually put like things on the horizon over there. Like, it doesn't seem that hard to be able to put a thing there.
There should be a bot for that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all for me, buddy.
Okay. How much more time you got? Cause
I am out of time, actually.
Oh,
but I can.
Right. Okay. No worries.
What do you have to go over?
I was just going to show you the my thinking around how to structure what it means to be a bot and what it means to be a test.
Yep. Can you give me just 2 minutes, and I'll come right back, or 5 minutes, and I'll come back?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll be right back.